What's up, guys? Doing some live builds, building some custom cars, and figured I would jump on and do some chatting. So, got my build case here, and I am gonna go through, just work through some cars. So, if you guys jump on, say what's up. What are you up to? Hopefully the weather's good where you're at. But probably give it a few minutes. Some more people will come on there. But that's what we're doing. So hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Actually, hopefully you've had a good week because we're at Thursday already. So we're pretty close to the next weekend already. Hopefully the weather is good. Saw that there was some action. Looked like some tornadoes. I mean, they're all over all the time, but saw that there was some in Indiana. Some of the race shops got jacked up. Some of them made it. What's up, Mike? But hopefully the weather is getting nice. I mean, this is something that happens every year. So even here in Utah, like, we had snow a couple days ago. We also had like 70-degree temperatures. Just kind of like snapping out of winter, getting into spring always causes some wild weather. But I do know too that when we usually will get weather changes here first, and then as that storm travels across the U.S. and mixes with moisture from the Gulf of America, it usually turns into some wild weather for you guys that live out Midwest. So hopefully that's all done, but it's barely April. So but yeah, just building some cars, putting the guide pins in. It's always my first step. So, gotta do, I do guide pin, electrical, then I usually put the motor setup on. This car, I just threw the front end on there just to check the axle, but my phone's trying real hard to focus, but it's all good. I wish I could show you guys like super up close of exactly what I'm looking at, but the parts are so small that I haven't figured out how to do that. But I have seen it before. If you've ever seen guys doing like watchmakers and stuff, I mean, they're like super zoomed in on stuff, which is pretty cool. But a lot of this stuff, it's more or less just a way to chat with you guys and be productive at the same time. So I don't mind doing it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Looks like Mike says it's in the 80s. Dang, that's some shorts weather right there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, but it gets hot here. I mean, in Utah, we can have 0 degrees and we can have, 100+ degrees, not the same day or whatever, but just in our seasons are that much different. So it's pretty wild, but it is dry. So that's nice because in the summertime, it doesn't get super humid, which I'm sure your 80-degree in Atlanta right now is probably still a little muggy, but it's all good. I'm sure you get used to it. So just throwing the electrical in these things, or at least the hangers right now, and then I'll flip them over and do put the springs in them, drop the springs in, and then after I drop the springs in, I usually put the pickup shoes on them. So I always line them up like so. Only doing 10 right now. These ones are what we call big wheel customs, so they do have, I don't make as many at a time. They're not, normally we fill 20 cars in these bins, but this is just a 10 spot. I got to do some other ones today too. Like Lee said, it's going to be 90 in Florida. Man, crazy. Where in Florida are you, Lee? So for the pickup springs, I like to use tweezers to drop the springs in. My eyes have gotten so smoked over the years, and I'm sure using my overheads probably isn't actually good, but I have to use them. So that's what you guys get. But thought about doing laser. I don't know if, I don't know, I guess I have to talk to someone about it. See what that entails. I need like superhero vision's what I need, because I don't know how you guys, I'm only 43, so I don't know how you guys that are older than me can do this stuff, but definitely by the end of the day, my eyes are just totally trashed to the point where I can barely see stuff on my phone, so I don't usually text or message too late at night because I can't freaking see it. And yeah. Okay, so I have to fix this one. Lee said, oh, I can't even read that without my glasses on. Aka. Man, I can't even say it, Lee. You got me. Sounds cool though, in my head. Yeah, got a few guys on. I don't know if you guys saw, actually nobody's seen that yet, but posted this guy yesterday, just some quick pictures. But posting a video today doing some testing on customer cars for SCDRL, and I made some hits in that video with this guy. But I'll probably try a live sale. I'm gonna try that pretty soon. I know I've talked about it before. That's probably where stuff like that will be going. It's not going to be an auction. That's not my style. And Mike does such a great job of that. I don't care to jump in and do that, but we might do a live sale of just, a few cars and just see how it goes, have some fun. So hopefully that will be, I don't know, sometime next week. I'm not sure which day I'll do it on, but should be a lot of fun. A couple of other things that I've been playing around with is putting braids on the pickup shoes. So a lot of the drag racers use those. I don't know, you can't really see it, but here's a car with some braids soldered onto it. For the drag racing on our track, it hasn't made a difference, but what I am doing it for is we're going to be running our cars on 1/32 scale track. So like a SCX track, or even the Carrera track and stuff like that. So we'll be making a video on that. One of our buddies out in California does that quite a bit. Actually, sorry, he's not in California. He's in New Jersey. Makes some super cool videos. I think it's BS Slot Cars, so a lot of you guys know him. But he does a lot of testing on his 1/32 scale track with HO cars, and we thought it'd be cool to make some shoes that have the braid already soldered to them. So we probably will do that here pretty soon and have some fun with that. So it's pretty cool. It should be a fun one. Let's see. So, gonna keep going on this thing, putting springs in. So I did have one of these when I popped the guide pin in. I freaking broke the nose of the chassis. So that happens. It's unfortunate. Luckily I caught it. You know, it's on that one. You can't even see it. Once the guide pin was in, I could see it opened up a little bit. It's not ideal, obviously. So kind of lame, but have to grab another chassis for that one. But I'm gonna keep going on these so that we can keep the show rolling. I would go grab another chassis with you guys, but the mornings in the fulfillment room, or the Viper room as we call it, are freaking crazy. So it's chaos in there right now. Everybody's pulling orders, making bodies, building cars, like doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna say I usually stay out of there. I was in there a little bit ago and grabbed all the parts to make these cars, but I don't need to go back in there for a little while, so probably won't go in there to do that. But most likely in this video, actually I will. I'll go through. We'll finish these things out to the point where they're ready for wheels and tires. Maybe throw the rear end on one, but 4 of these are spoken for. So going to be building up for sure the 4 so that I can get them shipped out to our buddy in California that ordered them. Been waiting a while for the rims. So the rims take for freaking ever. And just not super stoked on that, but it is what it is. Luckily, you guys are patient. Also, too, I don't know if you guys, anybody that's on here, maybe Mike, if you're still on here, have you had any problems with packages getting stuck at USPS distribution centers? Specifically stuff that I sent out on St. Patrick's Day, so Monday the 17th. I don't know what it is, but man, we have so many pissed off people because of that, and unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do. But we did come up with a new policy on that if that does happen yesterday, which should be a lot more straightforward for customers. So, but a lot of them made it to the distribution center and then they just stopped. Like that's it. And they've been there since the 18th. So they got checked in, which is good because at least they got checked in. But it just sucks, you know, a lot of people. That was a Monday, so Mondays, I mean, we ship out, usually Mondays we ship about 60 packages on Monday because things are backed up from the weekend. So not a good day to have stuff get backed up. Fridays would probably be, if any day it was going to get stuck, I'd rather it be on a Friday because usually we are only shipping out orders that were placed on Thursday. But that is a little tidbit of information. So if you guys ever are ordering from us and you want the stuff as fast as possible, the weekends are definitely not the best days to order because all the orders from the weekend will stack up and then get shipped out Monday and Tuesday. Usually like the middle of the week is going to be the best time to place your order. The only downside to that is you're not going to receive your stuff until after the weekend. So I know a lot of guys, they race or they do their slot car stuff on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and that's when they realize what they're missing or what they need, so they place their order. But if you can place your order in the middle of the week, the turnaround time from placing that order to receiving it is going to be the fastest. So just a little, just a little pointer there. It's like Lee said, yeah, it looks like Florida's having problems too. So, I mean, it's a problem everywhere. But have told guys, you know, hey, we do offer UPS as a shipping option. Typically don't have that problem with UPS. That's typically a USPS problem, which, you know, not to go down a rabbit hole and complain about the government, but that is a government run business, and we all know that that's obviously that they always have a hard time doing stuff. But I enjoy our postal workers here. They're always friendly, but there's only so much they can do, unfortunately. And once they pick up the packages and scan them in, we make them scan them here at the shop that they've received them, so at least you can see your package was picked up and received. But it's still frustrating. You know, I'm sure it's frustrating for them too, because if they're going to, you know, 100 businesses every day, and every single one of them is complaining to them about, you know, hey, where's my package? Like that's just not good. That's not healthy. So, but yeah, now I'm putting the motor setups together. So we pre-install the bushing and the pinion as part of our ready to run stuff. So any of our ready to run builds, we pre-build this part just so that I can grab it and drop it in, because otherwise that would just be another step in the process, which is not a big deal, but this just makes it so much easier. And my guys that work the second half of the day in the Viper room, they usually will be the ones that are restocking, keeping stuff filled up, you know. So the mornings we do fulfillment in there, and once fulfillment is done, once all of your orders are sent out, there's reordering going on. There is cars getting built, prep for the next day. I always call it, you know, the offensive side. So defense for us is filling orders, and offensive work is replenishing, restocking, reordering, rebuilding stock, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that's done usually the second half of the day, once all the orders are taken. And our pickup too for mail is usually around noon. So for those of you that do a lot of shipping, if you guys don't know, you can schedule pickups and have for free from USPS, but they will come and do a pickup for free. So don't waste your time going down to the post office and standing in line to drop off packages. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of our customers are also, you know, small business owners. And if you guys ever have questions about shipping methods, process for shippings, hacks for shipping, you know, feel free to reach out to me directly, or through the Viper site, and just, you know, say, you know, I'm reaching out to Dan to talk about shipping options or whatever. And I'd be happy to share with you kind of what we know, because we do ship a lot of packages every single month. So sometimes our third-party shipping platform, it will send me statistics of, you know, how many packages we sent, how many pounds of packages, how many miles, how many countries, what was the most popular country. And it's usually around, like, all packages, usually for the month, it's usually around 500,000 miles that the packages have traveled. So it's pretty crazy. But I got the motors loaded up, and then the next step is putting the magnets on there. So make sure you put the magnet with the white dot on the passenger side always. For, you know, if you're in America, it's on the passenger side. But that's important because the way that the armatures are timed and the way that the in-bell and everything is, you want to make sure that that magnet is on the correct side. A lot of guys put the car together snap the rear end in, it'll go backwards, and then they'll just flip the rear end so that it goes the correct direction. But that's not the way that you want to do it. You want to have the motor spinning in the direction that it's intended to be spinning, and then you can, if you want to switch the direction that the car goes, you can switch the rear axle, but don't do it because of the way the motor is. The motor needs to be set. But this one is snapped in, and basically I just did that so that as I line up my motors here, if I put the magnets on them, I got to give them more and more space so that they don't snap together. A lot of times I'll do a few and then I'll just snap them in the car. So that's what you're seeing. But to snap them in the car, I usually will get them kind of preset, and then I use some tweezers. I don't pinch anything with the tweezers. I'm really just using the tweezers to pull the hanger forward to allow the motor to drop in there. So a lot of times guys think that I'm like pinching something with that, but that's not the case. One thing that I actually do want to do right now, so I didn't do it on those first two, but I like to put a little bit of oil on the bushing or the I guess what would we call that? It's a fixed bushing that is on the armature to keep our bushing from touching the windings. I like to oil that because you can get oil into it from the outside once the car's assembled, but I found that if you do it before you put anything together, you don't have to put as much oil to try to get it down in there, because a lot of that'll end up just getting flung off anyway. So I'm going to go back and hit these ones a little bit. But hopefully you guys are having a good day. We enjoy doing the live stuff. I haven't done one for like over a week. Last week was our drag week, so we had our racing going on. For those that don't know, we release all of the videos and stuff for the racing on Friday, but we actually race the cars all week because, we usually have over 10 different groups of cars that we run, and it takes about an hour to do each group start to finish. So, simple math on that, it's 10 hours, and that's not including any setup time, any of that stuff. And then also there's editing and whatnot. So that whole week, last week, we were running cars and having a lot of fun with that. So those videos we've been posting, they're all on our YouTube, but we have been posting them pretty much daily on our Facebook also. So don't think we're just posting the same thing over and over and over. Each one's a different group. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully, I've been trying to figure out how we can do some proxy racing with a road course, but it's just really difficult to do that. One thing that I did think of is we could do like a time attack challenge where basically, if people could submit cars per certain rules that we would set, and myself or John, since at the shop right now we're the only two that actually have a lot of HO slot car driving experience, we would drive the car and probably do a 5-lap sprint with an overall time and a fast lap. And so you would get scored on both of those. Overall time would probably be, let's just say it'd be 100 points total, and fastest lap might be a 25-point maximum bonus. So the overall total would obviously be better, but that way you guys could build cars, send us cars, we do the time attack, and there'd be prizes and that kind of stuff. That way
the same person's driving everybody's cars, and it wouldn't be a monotone race, which if we were running cars on a road course in the I would call it digital mode, it would be a fixed voltage, and the cars basically would just be, build the car to where it can go as fast as it can on that voltage without coming off, which that's just, to me, it would be too difficult. But having a professional like John or myself run the cars, and maybe we both run them, maybe that's part of it, is, because everybody's driving style is different. And even with John and I, we both can build cars, and we can put cars right on the edge. And even though we can do that, we still both like to have the car set up differently. So that actually sounds pretty fun. And I hadn't thought a lot about that, but talking to you guys about it, I mean, that actually sounds like something that would be fairly easy to do, and we could certainly do that. But I say that because our track is en route. So next week we're going to get the new track, and we're going to start building that thing immediately, and that'll be a lot of really good content. So we're pretty stoked on that. Shout out to Willie Musgrave at Musgrave Racing, or Thor HO Tracks, for getting that track done. It's not a huge track, but it is a very, very good racetrack. It's a proven racetrack. I've owned 2 of them over my time. They're both tracks, the ones that I own, they were ones that we had built, but I like that layout so much that I have had 2. So, and that was really kind of a breakthrough track for us also, because it was a 3-lane, and the group that we were part of was pretty old school, pretty set in their ways. And, they were like, it's 3 lanes, only 3 lanes. We always race 4 lanes, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't tell them what size it was, none of that stuff. They just showed up to race. Everybody absolutely loved the track, and they didn't really care about the size, because the proportions were correct, which is, that's everything. And we had a ton of fun on it. So we ended up calling it the podium track, because it is only a 3-lane. So the main, everybody's on the podium for each main. So if you have an A main, B main, C main, you have your top 3. There's no odd man out, like 4th person. So, okay, so I got these cars. I just made a mess out of my stack, but got these cars at that point, and I'm going to oil the front bushing now. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to set them on my break-in box or power supply, and just make sure that they all sound okay. So on our old N-Bell, we did have some issues on those where the way that the electrical was done, there was times where the pieces would break. You couldn't see them. You didn't know about it until the car was totally done, which was super annoying. So I still have like PTSD from that. So that's why we always check them at this point. The new one, we've never had any problems with it so far. And even the old one, like the stuff, we would actually do a continuity check on it before it left the shop. So usually no customers ever even knew that was an issue. But I certainly did. And it was super annoying. And it was actually a lot more expensive, because we had a lot of them that ended up just getting disassembled and put into bags because they had bad electrical parts. So These ones are way better though. They're actually the best. This is the best Inbill that has ever been made. The version 4 has extra spots on it for added spring tension if you want. A lot of people are afraid of the Inbill because they feel like they can't adjust brush tension and stuff, and that's just like false. I mean, you can actually pull one apart if you want, do all kinds of stuff to it and put it back together. That might be worth a video someday. It's so small that you'd really have to be able to see kind of what's going on. Talking about it wouldn't do it justice, but at a point now where traction mags can go in. So these particular cars, level 4 motor mags, and we run level 10 traction mags in them. So, and that's just because with the bigger wheels, the ride height is a lot higher, and to make the balance of the car right, we put the stronger traction mags in them. So there's one right there. Something I always stress too is installing the magnet clips. It's a very, very simple process, except for when you're doing the stiff clips. But basically, let's see if I can do this. Push one side in, and you push over. I can't do it with my thumb that way. Dang. Yep, can't do it from that angle. Sorry, guys. Wish I had a better angle to show you of that one, but you just don't. Main thing, you don't want to pull the clip out. It's not how it's made to function. But talk about it all the time too. The magnet with the white dot or the white stripe goes on the same side as the car, so I usually will let the face of it attract to the car like so. That will tell you if you're in high downforce or low downforce. So I think Brian said I was going to suggest a video on Inbill adjustment. So the main thing with the Inbill, and the thing that I will stress the most, is that you really want to have both brush arms and everything as symmetrical as possible. So in short, that just means blueprinted, okay? Because that's really the main thing with blueprinting anything, is you want stuff symmetrical. You want your left side and your right side to be correct, all of that stuff. Same thing with us as humans, you know, if we're not symmetrical, if we're out of balance, that's because, you know, we have, I mean, and some of them, like sometimes if you have some kind of a condition, you can't help it, obviously, but if you ever got, you know, out of balance, it's because you have an imbalance in fluid in your head, or there's all kinds of different stuff. But for me, it happens a lot of times when I get sick or stuffed up. I will blow my nose, and one side's stuffed up, one side's not, plugs my ears up, and all of a sudden I am super dizzy and imbalanced. And that goes for the cars too, you know, keeping stuff balanced. So with the brush arms and all the tension and that kind of stuff, that is super critical. And usually the way to test that, if you're not sure how to test the spring tension, is I usually will use you know, you pull the Inbill off, obviously, and use a small screwdriver or a pick, and I'll just relieve tension on the bottom brush arm, and I'll see how far the top one moves. And I usually will sight that on the hole in the bushing. So as the brush moves down, it closes up the hole, and I'll just gauge, okay, that's, you know, half the hole. Flip it over, do the same thing. That at least tells me what the travel is. It doesn't necessarily tell you what the tension is, and there's not going to be a number associated with that, but it's a good way to check that. And honestly, I mean, we make these things so that you don't have to worry about that if you're using a brand new one. But if you have a Tomy one or any of the other ones out there, which they're all Tomy ones, but iterations of the Tomy and Bell, or you have done adjustments on your own and you're not sure how to get back to square one, that's typically what you would need to do. Is you would need to check that kind of the travel. Tweaking it is a whole nother story, and I wouldn't even know where to start with teaching someone on that. But we could certainly talk about it. So just real quick, got my cars to this point. This one, you could see I already had the front end on it. So this one, is pretty much ready for the rear end, which we can go ahead and build real quick. So I am going to throw one of these together, and we'll just finish up this one. We'll put the rims on it, all that stuff. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Gather my parts out here. So hopefully the car sound's not like too annoying to anybody. Some people like it. Some people really dislike that noise. It like bothers them. It's like a trigger. But others like it. They say that it's a soothing noise. So it's kind of cool. But okay, getting my press set up here. I always write numbers on my press so that I know. Actually, I don't write them on there anymore. I engrave them so that I know what some of the measurements are. And I'll show you here. So this one, with this gear, I want to measure from the inside of the press to the outside of the screw. I want to measure that to a certain dimension, which on these it's 1 inch 350. I know that you can set the stop, and obviously the ones that we make, they have that stop. But what I've found is that when you're pressing on gears, the axle will actually push some of the plastic through, and it'll create a burr, which is usually 5 thousandths thick, and you'll end up losing, every time you do it, you'll lose 5 thousandths, and eventually the axles will be weird. So I keep the back of mine open so that those shavings can get pushed out, and then I measure this distance here. So this particular one, it's going to be 1 inch 350, which I will check like so. So we're at 1 inch 3. It's going to be backwards numbers, but that's what I'm measuring. 1 inch 1 inch 436, 1 inch 375, quarter turn, 1 inch 352, a little more of a turn, so 1 inch 350. So we're dead on where we need on that one. And I'll install my spacer. So another thing too, if you've bought ready to run Viper car, you know that it comes with a one-piece rear spacer. So we made specific spacers for each gear to be used in the medium chassis, so that for production it's super easy. And it's not something that we sell because the price on them would be kind of outrageous compared to just buying the 5, 10, 15 or 20,000 shims. So that's why we don't sell them. Had guys ask about them before, but we don't really sell them. So next step, since this is getting billet rear rims, I will take a Sharpie and I actually mark the axle. I'll mark the top side of the axle with Sharpie. Okay, and that's just where I'm going to cut my flat. So I do this manually, and the flat is for the set screw that is on the ProTrack rims. So I always remove the axle. You don't want to do it with it in there because the shavings will get on the car. So I'm going to cut this flat real quick. Okay, did that on both sides. Don't know. Yeah, you can't really see it other than just seeing the shadow change or the reflection change. So it's right there. But that's that step. We just don't do enough of these to justify having an axle made with that flat in there. That would just add a crazy amount of cost to that axle, and it's kind of unnecessary. It's an unnecessary cost when that can be done like that. I've done friggin' so many of them that it's super easy to do. I usually do make, and this is just something that I learned as a machinist, but I make the cut the furthest in, I make that the deepest, and then it tapers out, and that way when you screw your screw down, even if your screw backs off a little bit, your rim won't come off until it backs off a long way. And the thought there is that you would figure that out before the the rim fell off, or in machining before your end mill, decided to exit the chat. So next step I'm going to do here is Loctite. So I always remove the screws, put a little bit of blue Loctite on the screws, and then I also put blue Loctite on the axle. So let's screw this guy in, let it get set. Also too, if you don't have one of these guys for doing these, highly recommend them over the Allen key. I absolutely hate Allen keys with a passion, but if that's all you got, then that's all you got. I've used them so many times, but sometimes you just have to use them. But for this, I don't have to use them. I don't want to use them. Hate using them. The driver works way better. It'll get them way tighter. So those are on there. I am going to pull out my little jig for installing the rear tires. It's actually something I've never showed anybody outside of the people here, but I'll show you guys real quick, because there was a time certain rims will cut the tires. So we made this cone that pops in there, and usually, well, always, you drop the tire down on it and just press it on there. So let me grab this guy, okay, come back, and this tire just drops right down on there, super easy. Tires are on, no ripping. I still will use my fingernail to seat the tire all the way up against the inside edge, but now that thing is ready for the rear axle to be oiled, the gear to be oiled, and I usually will put a little bit more on the rear bushing and another drop on the front bushing. I also oil the front axles, and I put a drop of oil between the rim and the chassis. But that's it. Another bad to the bone big wheel custom ready to go. So just kind of cycling through these cars here. So I saw Wesley had commented some of them sounded different. That is definitely because before I oiled them, the front bushing being dry and the armature shaft, it can sound horrible. And that's definitely something that you want to make sure that, I just pop it on there and check it. I don't run it very long because I hate that sound. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go through and finish out the rest of these cars. I got to go get a drink, because if I talk too long, my throat starts getting super dry to the point where I'll just stop talking. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Couple of just, if you watched it this long, a couple of things to take away is live sale, stuff like this, and other custom stuff that we'll build throughout the week. Another one would be braided stuff. If you're looking to run HO on 124 scale or 132nd scale home sets, and that's pretty much it. I probably forgot something else, but hopefully you guys have a good one. We'll see you later. Oh, one last thing too. If you have questions about shipping for your own business, feel free to reach out. Be happy to help. See ya.